I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're talking about a sensational book. It is called And the Days Grow Short. It is a poignant and richly detailed memoir by Doris Wells Bowsher, offering an intimate glimpse into the diverse life that she has led. From her early days in a small Northeast Arkansas community to her vibrant experiences in Las Vegas. The author's book is a tapestry of memories filled with joys, challenges, and the pursuit of dreams. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. We ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Doris, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
This is a great memoir you have written. Let's give the folks at home a little bit of a big picture, why you decided to write it, and a little bit of the story that you told within the pages of this book.
Well, why I decided to write it was I came up with macular degeneration, so I couldn't drive and couldn't go anywhere. And I mostly had to stay home and do nothing. So I don't do nothing well. So I decided to write this book. And I had written little bits of it here and there along the way, and I just decided to put it all together, which I did.
Wonderful.
And I just discovered I was going to college, and I had some writing to do there. And I got such good reviews from it that I decided maybe I had some talent at this. So I did. And then I just wrote these books.
Wonderful.
And basically, I got them published. So
yeah. I love the title, And the Days Grow Short. Tell us about that and what you mean by it.
Well, I am in my 90s. So I figured the days weren't going to get any longer. So that was why I chose it. I just thought, my life is pretty much up. And but what time I have left, I will use as well as I can.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And we're glad you're using that time to do some writing, because your writing is lovely. You are talented at it. And it all began in Arkansas, right? Your story? Did. Tell us a little bit about your memories from Arkansas, growing up in a small town.
Well, it was a very happy time because we lived in the back of our store. And my mother and father ran it, and I was an only child. So I was allowed to just run around and do whatever I wanted. And I did. And then when it was summer and when we kids could just go, we lived close to a river that ran all around the town. And we were just allowed to do pretty much what we wanted as long as we got home by dark. And, that's, I ran around in the store, and I had some chores to do there as I grew older. And I hated part of the chores that I had to do because the bologna and stuff like that came in a long roll, and it got greasy on the back, and my job was to wash it off from there. So I didn't like that. But then my favorite job was to fill up the gas in the cars that came by. But it was really a happy time, and I was content there up until I was like 12 years old. And at that point in time, my mother passed away. And my father was not ever happy after that. And he wasn't well either. So he sold the store, and then it just went from there.
Yeah.
Kind of strange.
But your years in the store must have been very, very fun. You're kind of the center of the community. You get to know the people who are coming in. You have your regular customers. You're kind of the heartbeat of the community. You've got food, you got gas, you got everything that people need, right?
Well, yes, but we weren't really the center of the town. We crossed, there was a river, as I said, and on this side of it was the little town. And we were over here, and we were not quite the center of the town, but we had all this business from people who I guess didn't want to have business bothered with the other stuff. So we had a little store by ourselves there. And the sharecroppers came in on Saturdays to buy groceries, and it was a really busy day. And it was just a fun place to live.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know what you're talking about. I worked in a little delicatessen when I was a teenager myself, and I loved it. Got to know everybody in the neighborhood, got to, be there during storms, be there during beach days, during happy times. And we did get to know the customers quite well, as I'm sure you did as
I
well.
did that. I knew everybody, and they all knew me. So,
Yeah, exactly.
of course, they
Exactly.
knew everybody else too as well. But that was the fun part of growing up. I've never had quite that experience anymore. Sometimes people would know me, and sometimes they wouldn't. But
Right.
I never had quite that experience again. But it
Everybody knew Doris in Arkansas, in your town, I'm sure. Yeah.
was
It's hard
a
to
place.
duplicate that in Las Vegas. It's a bigger place, that's for sure.
It wasn't a great big place when I came here. It was like a little town then.
Tell us about when you first went to Vegas. How old were you, and what was your experience like?
Well, I was a little depressed from being having to leave Germany as soon as I did, and I had some mental problems, but I soon got those taken care of, and then I found a job teaching piano, which was really quite an experience because I had never taught piano like this before. There were six pianos in the room, and then mine was over it. And what I played, the other pianos played, and it was on the screen. And I had really a good time doing it. It was kind of fun thing, and people could play. Mostly they were adults,
Mm,
and they didn't want to learn all this stuff. They just wanted to learn something to play.
right.
So we started out with the theory first, and then after that, they could all play. By the third lesson, they could play a song.
That's
And
great.
it was really great fun, and they got to be good friends among themselves while they were doing this. So it was a fun thing to do up until they decided to make it be international, and that didn't work too well. So anyway, but I've been here ever since, except for a time. My husband was one to change his mind, and
Mm,
he decided that he didn't want to live in Arkansas in Las Vegas anymore. So we moved to Arkansas, and I kept saying, why do you want to move to Arkansas? You've never been to Arkansas." And he said, "Well, where we bought the supplies for the store was in Arkansas." So he went there, but he wasn't well after that very, very long. So
mm,
it just, he was freezing to death in the hot summertime.
mm.
And I had to put blankets and everything else on him. And finally, I just had to move him back to Las Vegas because he just simply wasn't well enough to stay there.
Yeah.
But that's been pretty much what I've done. But I worked after I left the music company. I worked in the store with him,
Hmm.
and we had that store for 20 years. And it was a pressure washer store.
Hmm.
And I've decided they stopped pressure washers when we quit because the sidewalks around here are not too clean anymore.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. And that community has grown quite a bit since you first moved in. What year did you move into Vegas?
I think it was 72
Hmm.
or 73, somewhere in that area.
So the Las Vegas Strip has changed quite a bit over the past 50 years or so, I'd say, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
the strip wasn't there.
right,
It was the downtown area that was there, and was most of the casinos, and the rest of it. There was a casino on every block.
right.
Now you can't tell when you go from one to the next one. They're just all right together.
Exactly. One big chrome building after another,
Yeah.
one tower. Yeah. So, well, it's great. Who did you first share your book with when you got it? Did you share it to some of your family members?
I don't have any family members left.
I'm sorry.
Well, my children have passed away, and
Hmm.
I was an only child, so there wasn't any family left, I had a lot of friends and I shared it with them. And
Wonderful. It's
but
nice that you keep your legacy alive through this book. Like you said, your family is gone now. So, but your life lives on in the pages of this book, which is kind of nice as well, right?
well, it is interesting.
Yeah,
And it came out to be a very nice looking book. So
absolutely.
I've been pleased with it.
What do you hope readers take away from it or what
I'm
they
sorry,
learn
I
from
didn't
it?
understand you. What
What
did
do you
you
hope
say?
readers take away from your book? Like what they learn from it, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, I don't know that they can learn anything other than just to keep living from
Yeah.
one day to the next, no matter what happens. And that's about what I have done because my father was ill for a number of years. And then when he passed away, I didn't have anybody else except my children.
Mhm.
And then they each passed away. So I just had to keep whatever I didn't know what was going to do happen from one day to the next. But whatever it was, I just kept doing it. Just
Yeah,
kept trying to find something else to do. And
exactly. And I think
so,
that's a lot of life. Life's a redemption story. You go from one thing to the next, you pick up the pieces, you lose your mother, you lose your father, or whatever the situation might be, and you just keep on going because we have no choice and we're seeking the most happiness we can find in our days as they grow short, right?
well, that's true. And a lot of this was when my children were small and I couldn't go out at night. I worked in the day, but I had to stay with them at night. And I didn't, well, there wasn't much television that I wanted to see. So it gave me something to do. So I just wrote and and then eventually I got the computer and then I put it on the computer. So
Wonderful.
it's been a fun thing to do.
Good. Well, we're glad you did. It's a wonderful book. The name of the book is And the Days Grow Short. It is a poignant and touching memoir written by Doris Wells Bowsher. It starts in Arkansas and it's her trek through life all the way through Las Vegas. It's a wonderful story. It'll make you think about your own life. It'll make you reflect upon what's really important in life. Doris, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you for having me. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Great speaking with you. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.